Good morning. I want to talk to you today about a business roadmap. And just as a means to give you a feel for how I see that, a bit of a definition, this is something you're going to use to map out and display the destination, direction, and strategies of your business, including key milestones and potential roadblocks on the journey. So, quite a mouthful there, but if you think about it, looking to map out destination, direction, strategies, and the strategies will include key milestones, so markers to say that you're moving in the right direction, and potential roadblocks on the journey. What could stop you reaching that destination? So that's what we're talking about today. Before we really get into a bit more detail on that, I think it's a good question to ask ourselves on an ongoing basis. And we started doing this in the previous video when we're talking about organizational design. It's important to know, and it's important to keep asking the question, what business am I in? What business are you in? Why do you want to know that? Well, it's really starting to shape then the destination and the direction and the strategies. If you're in a training business, then your destination, your direction strategies will be different if you classify yourself as being professional services in education. So it's important to know what business you're in and fine-tune that and define that. Why I'm saying that is, again, in previous videos, we've used the great Jim Collins and his book Good to Great, and lovely little analogies in there. And first who, then what was a great question to be asked. And companies went from good to great. First who, then what. We've talked about the who in all of our previous videos and started to open up the what in the previous video. The what is, well, what business are you in? What you're trying to achieve? What are your goals? Really important. The what is essentially, again using the analogy, getting the right people in the right seats, on the right bus. We're now talking about what does that bus look like? What's the identity of that bus? This is great for internal communications and also for external communications. So and it links to what business are you in? It's starting to give an image, starting to give that view of what the business actually looks like. Hopefully the audience has heard of a guy called Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins, master coach, business and life, and his business mastery events. One of the first things he wants to talk about is a business roadmap, and coupled with that, asking the delegates, what business are you in? It's vitally important to know what business you're in, or in to start to look at your business roadmap. Okay. As in real life and in business life, when we're starting to map things out, the map is not the territory. I'll be very clear on that. We can map out our business. It is not the territory. We do not know the real terrain until we get there. And just like when we're traveling anywhere, it's the same situation. The map is not the territory. So a roadmap is not a business plan. A business plan is trying to predict the territory. It's trying to say my business in 5 years will have cash flow, will have turnover, it will have whatever you need to have there to prove to external bodies like financial institutions or investors that you've got a robust business financially. Okay, very important to have, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the roadmap. And the roadmap, predominantly for internal communications, also can be used externally, but internal communications to know where you're going in the business and everybody else in the business as well. And a couple of other things to think about. A business plan is essentially set. Okay, you sign off the business plan and the following day it's changed because we know the territory is changing all the time. So a business plan is for a particular reason. A roadmap is the live map in your business. And you're going to have things in there like the destination, the direction, the strategies, including key milestones and potential roadblocks on that journey. So it's live and needs to be continuously improved. And again, it's another reference to putting it from Tony Robbins and his business mastery classes. He talks about the 7 forces of business mastery. I see these as being the continuous improvement forces in a business and in that business roadmap. And just for reference, those 7 forces are: first one, have a business roadmap. Now the next 3 is innovation, marketing and sales. And that's what business is fundamentally about. And then we've got, how can you anticipate things that can go wrong in the business financially and legally, and to have a means of optimizing your business on an ongoing basis, and also to start setting the culture. And we've had a conversation on culture in 2 or 3 videos ago. So the map is not the territory. The map is not the territory. So the business roadmap then, we can see that's been like a business sat-nav. I'm sure we're all familiar with satellite navigation or Google Maps. And what does that give us? It gives us live updates. Sat-nav or Google Maps can give us live updates. It's starting to give us that live territory as we're traveling. So if you think about when you get in a car and you set your sat-nav or Google Maps, first thing is, well, what's the destination? What's the zip code? What's the postcode? What's the address? We need to put that in there. And the same with a business. We need to know what the destination is. And we're talking here in the next 12, 18 months. What is the destination? What are we looking to achieve? Where do we need to be in the next 12 to 18 months? The next thing you're going to get on the sat-nav is the options of routes and timings. This is your direction, and this is the strategies to some extent. Okay, the direction with some key elements that you need to be following to achieve the route in the right timings. And what you're always getting on sat-nav is the feedback, and this is the feedback, it's the territory if you like. So we know the weather's changing. We can see that anywhere. The sat-nav is going to tell us about traffic conditions. It's going to tell us about potential roadblocks. It's going to tell us about any traffic congestion. And then feeding that back in to give us maybe a revised route or a revised timing. All planning to get us to a destination, not necessarily on the right time or following the same route that we started with, but that territory, that feedback from the territory will always give us the live updates for us to make sure that we can achieve the destination whichever way we can. Okay, so business roadmap is business sat-nav, and it's live and it's feeding back into the business all of the time to achieve that destination, modify the direction, sometimes modifying the strategies as well, and looking at achieving the milestones and the potential roadblocks. Can we overcome those? So what business are we in? We know we need a business roadmap, and we know the map is not the territory. So a business roadmap is not a business plan. It's something different. It's given us the business sat-nav for our business. Where's the destination, the direction, and the milestones and roadblocks. All that being said, really we're now very much into the territory of now what. We've spent a lot of time talking about the who in business, and so we know who the right people are. We know that the culture of a business or the atmosphere on the bus. We know the right seats on the bus or the organizational design. And we have our North Star, which is the long-term vision, 3 to 5 years, and can be longer as well. That's our guiding principles to get us where we need to go. Now we're very much into the what are we going to achieve, what are we going to be doing in the near future, and then that means the next 12 to 18 months. Now this starts to really bring in some strategic priorities. That's what they're called. We can call them strategies, but strategic priorities. No more than 6. 3 is about the minimum. So between 3 and 6 strategic priorities, and we're going to achieve those next 12 to 18 months. If we go somewhere in the middle and say there's four strategic priorities, these really are to define the destination, the direction, the milestones and the roadblocks for your organization in the 12 to 18 months ahead. And those strategic priorities from a workshop with your leaders and your leadership team to define what is most important to achieve in the next 12 to 18 months. So that's where we're going now. We're talking about the what. In our next video, we'll really start to delve into how to do that and how to cascade that through the business. But for this video, business roadmap, this is the headlines, destination, direction, milestones, and roadblocks. So if you ever think about as you leave this video today, key question, what business are you in? And again, using that Jim Collins analogy, it's a great one. Getting the right people in the right seats on the bus, you're now starting to define and identify what that bus looks like. Yeah, identify what that bus looks like for internal communications, external communications, and for business identity. Very, very important. The next thing is to think about your business roadmap in the terms of a business sat nav or business Google Maps. It's a live representation of what is going on in your business with some key elements in there, which is your destination, your direction or strategies, and your milestones and roadblocks, the feedback or the KPIs in the business. And the next thing to do is to always make sure that this is communicated widely in the organization. For certainly the internal communications is vitally important, so everybody knows where the business is going, what's expected. It's good for external communications as well, and to let people know the identity of the business, and can always lead into building the core story for any organization. And core story is really important for marketing. If you don't know what business you're in, you can't start to build a core story. If you can't build a core story, then you can't start talking about marketing. Because what are you marketing at the end of the day? And then what are you looking to sell at the end of the day as well? It's all based around a lot of these factors that we're bringing to play now. One of the key ones being, what business are you in? So just to round off for today, what business are you in is a key question. Understand the map is not the territory, and a roadmap is not a business plan. The roadmap is more like business sat nav, getting you to a destination in the short term, 12 to 18 months. And very much it's about what you're going to achieve. And this is the what we're talking about now, and really starting to identify what business you're in. Clear, keep asking the question, and keep adjusting that in the roadmap as well. So just to close off today as well, our next video will start to talk about a subject called Cascade, where we'll take those strategic priorities and start to look at how they can be, as it says, cascaded through the business. So these become live, meaningful tactics and objectives for those in the organization who can help to achieve the goals of the business.